Hey guys, I really enjoyed the first issue of Assorted Crisis Events when I did it on initial assessment last month, but when I saw the second issue had come out this week, I didn't pick it up. I hadn't really thought about it too much, and I said to myself, I've got a lot of books, I've got a lot of stuff, I'm going to have to start cutting things, but I watched Rock and Robbie talking about it on Pop Culture Philosophers, and he pretty much just sold it and sold it and sold it as one of the greatest things he'd ever read. So I swung by one of my other LCSs this week, or today actually, and picked up this copy. So let's talk about this. It's talking about a Mexican gentleman named Jesus. And through this, he grows up from a child, sees his father pass in an accident, sees his mother distraught, and then you get to find out that the thing that has really brought about this dementia and this pain and the sadness that he's dealing with is the fact that he and his father had the same job, or at least they worked in the same place. And he worked on the kill floor in a meat processing factory. And a lot of people go into a job like that and shut their brain off. And they go and they put bolts through the heads of animals all day long, killing, murdering animals with no thought for what they're doing. Because they see the greater good. They see that people have to eat in order to survive. So just because somebody's favorite calf or cow has to die doesn't mean that the people that are doing the killing are terrible people. Instead, he sees the necessity in all of it. But it's a deep dive, and I see why Robbie enjoyed it. It's a deep dive into his personal philosophy with Jesus, his personal philosophy about his old man, who was an alcoholic, his personal philosophy between himself and his mother and the relationship between them, and then the relationship between him and these animals that he's slaughtering each and every day. If it could be reminiscent of anything, it would be reminiscent of Upton Sinclair and his story about meat processing and how we get the food that we get. If I remember correctly, the book was called The Jungle and was from 1904. And in that book, you get to see that there's a dirty world behind the things that we have in the grocery stores. It doesn't make me a vegan. It doesn't make me want to stop eating meat. But you just realize that whether it be physically dirty or spiritually dirty, there's a cost to everything that happens in these processing plants, both to the animals and to the people. It weighs on them. It brings Jesus to this therapist who has to clear him in order to continue his job. He also sees his mother pass. He sees his children struggling. He goes to try to find another job, and he tries to be a dishwasher. And the guy that he's talking to, he says, look, if you got to go to the bathroom, you got to have papers. He's like, but I don't have papers, but I'm a hard worker. And I have children. He says, I got 3 of them myself, Enjoy your youth, because when you get older, then you're not going to be able to enjoy this life quite as much. So it's monotonous day in and day out going into this meatpacking plant. And his supervisor says, it's important work that we do. What we do is important. You become part of something. You take your place in the great food chain of being. So he sees his father before he dies. He sees the cows. He sees all of these different aspects. And it's always blood. And it's always that you find your safety in your mother's arms. You always come back to your mother's arms because that is the safest place that you feel as a child. So this speaks to me in psychology. It speaks to me in humanity and empathy and the ideas that we all grow up missing our mother once she's gone. Missing the ability to crawl into her arms when we're hurt, when we're sad, when we get broken up with, when we struggle with whatever life throws our way. At the end of the day, we are always running back into our mother's arms, and we'll all be safe on the other side. So, what does that say to you as you have hopefully picked up this book? And to be honest, it hasn't made me think that I'm going to pick up issue 3. I might find myself questioning and on the fence again once issue 3 hits next month. But for right now, I'm not going to go as far as Robbie said and say that this is the greatest book that I've read in the last year, possibly the last 2 years. What I will say is it's a very interesting study on society and on, like I said, on empathy. You lose so much as you get older. Sometimes you lose so much as you were young. But as you age, your friends die. Your mother and your father are gone. You may lose a spouse. You may gain another one only to lose them. There's so much pain and there's so much suffering and there's so much hurt that you just have to learn to deal with it. But like Jesus was trying to figure out, don't shut it off. Don't push it down. Instead, remember there's always a safe place and create that safe place in your own mind and in your own heart. And if you have that part of your life in your own faith, give that part of yourself into a lockbox that you open in those most dire times. This was really, really a great read. I do have to say that. It didn't change my life. It didn't make me question my own choices or my own morality. But it did make me take a good hard look at how I deal with my own personal traumas that I interact with and deal with on a daily basis. So if you're dealing with anything, if you need help, don't be afraid to reach out to the suicide prevention line. Don't be afraid to reach out to your local psychiatric facility. Don't be afraid to get the help that you need. Because, to be honest, like I've told my patients, there's a lot more people out there that need to be in here than they're in here getting the help that they need. So, it's a deep thought. It's a deep book. And if you're looking for something really, really great to read, you can do a lot worse than this for $4.99. So be sure to check it out, guys. If you do, let me know what you thought. And let's start a conversation in the comments about whether or not this book was as good as I thought it was, or if you have different opinions on it. Take care, guys, and be safe.